يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. صدق الله العلي العظيم. الفاتحة تسبق الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I welcome you to another nightly program here at the Islamic House of Wisdom. It is the penultimate night with our dear Sayyid Fadel Elsayed, the second to last night that we have with our dear Sayyid. Tomorrow, inshallah, is his last night. Tomorrow is also our Majina celebration, birthday of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. This is a great time, as I've been saying the past couple nights, for the younger ones, especially because there's a lot of Eid, lots of candy that will be going around. If you're interested in volunteering, helping, sponsoring, anything like that, please do see me or the office in order that we may coordinate for that. Inshallah, tonight after the lecture, we will have a Q&A with Sayyid as well as a suhoor. So suhoor with a scholar after the program. So that'll be right about 11 p.m. inside of the Mahdi Hall, inshallah. And obviously refreshments, suhoor, will be distributed afterwards. You know that every single day we have a Quran Khatmiyah program at 6 to 7 p.m. online from the comfort of your homes. And then you know that we are building our Islamic House of Wisdom youth athletics and recreational facility, or educational center rather, and that's right behind you in the parking lot. So inshallah, by this time next year, we're hoping that we have this new facility up and running for programs, especially for the younger ones, inshallah. I hope that all of you recited or did the Salat al-Ayat early this morning. If you did not, you have to do the qada of that prayer. If you want to know how you have to pray that prayer, you go to our Instagram at Youth of Wisdom. There's a video by Sheikh Ayad, and he explains step by step how to do that prayer. Talking about socials, you want to also follow our pages on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. So we have at IHW Connect, Islamic House of Wisdom. We also have at Youth of Wisdom and all of these platforms, inshallah. Every single night, I like to mention a hadith. The hadith from tonight is from the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala. The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and his progeny has been narrated to have said that one who provides iftar to a mu'min in the month of Ramadan shall be granted the reward of liberating a slave in the path of Allah, and shall have all of his previous sins forgiven. And if he did not possess the means to present anything except milk mixed with water, or a drink of sweet water and a date, Allah would also grant him this reward. You know, sometimes I see when we have the Jama'ah prayer every night, there's some of the Hajjis, they're very smart. They come with a ziploc of dates, and like right before we start praying, they give dates so they can gain on this reward. So maybe that's something you want to look into. The masjid is also available if you're interested in sponsoring an iftar, or you want to have a family iftar here. We're able to accommodate for that with obviously the sponsorship or the donation amount. Inshallah, Sayyid's topic tonight is on the importance of knowledge. Please help me in welcoming him to the podium after 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين، حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا صاحب السكينة المدفونة في المدينة المبعوث رحمة للعالمين أبو القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم ولن أعدائهم ولا أهل بيت طيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين. وبعد، ولعنة دائما على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى يوم قيام الدين. قال جل جلاله في محكم كتابه الكريم: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون إنما يتذكر أولو الألباب. آمنا بالله. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Respected scholars, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As Brother Ahsan pointed out, today's topic is that about knowledge. And for those people that have been on the journey wave of spirituality, uplift hopefully in the last 14, nearly 15 days, where we talked about the purification many times of the soul and that of changing your habits. And what it is on top of all this, you have set the foundation now, hopefully, even though it's taken several days, and as you can see all your life, you've always planned or you set the foundation in clearing what you know that is not God willing, or what God has told you to stay away from, any that pests or pollutants within your soul, to hopefully have a new cylinder, have to absorb that of knowledge. And you know that with everything has a pretty much a capacity in which it can hold something. But when it comes to knowledge, there's no capacity. The more you feed yourself, that actual, you can say, you can picture that of a bowl. But usually when you put something in the bowl, it has a pretty much a limit. And sooner or later, it's going to overfill. But with knowledge, my brothers and sisters, what happens? It's the opposite. You put the knowledge in, and the bowl begins to expand according to the level of knowledge you put in. And of course, we have more. When I say knowledge, we have, of course, throughout our lives, we've been taught many types of knowledge. You know, we are striving. Anything we look on a daily basis is a form of knowledge. We always, doesn't matter what form it is, whether we take it from an Islamic point of view, or from other schools of thought. And we'll get to the point later on. We'll show you, but in your terms of spirituality, God has actually wanted you through the Holy Prophet to concentrate on two particular forms of knowledge. And you find that our life itself, the way we live, who we associate with, and so forth, is a form of knowledge. That reminds me of the movie. Anyone watch the movie Slumdog Millionaire? About this young, it was in India, in Mumbai. And he goes on to have that, or to win, their version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. But there was something nice about that story, is that while he was living in the slums of Mumbai after his mother had passed away, the way he could answer the questions is they're all based on things that had come across his life. And they thought that he was cheating. But subhanAllah, all these natural experiences that he experienced through life was what that made him get the ultimate prize, in that terms, it was wealth. We know, according to Imam Ali al-Hadi alayhi salam, for instance, Imam says, "An-nas fil dunya bi-amwal wa fil akhirati bi-a'mal." The people in this dunya, it's that. For them, it's about money. But fil akhirah, my brothers and sisters, it's your a'mal. And your a'mal can only, you can say, bring you forth if it's acquired with knowledge. Knowledge is what protects you. And we know that basically everyone can agree to this, that knowledge protects you. When a system is put into place, for instance, where even the act of driving a car, there is knowledge there. There's knowledge of what the street signs are, how to drive, what not what to do, and so forth. So that's a protection system. You go into any industry, especially industrial industries, you got to have knowledge of that type of machinery, what needs to be, put on, what type of PPE. For those people that don't, of course, you know what PPE, personal protective equipment, but sometimes it might not just need PPE. It might need that equipment might need to be isolated in order to work on. So when we look at this, we'll find that what strives the nafs is this beautiful narration by Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam when he talks about knowledge. He says, "Man kallafa bil ilm faqad ahsana ila nafsi." So beautiful. The words of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He says, the one who's fond of knowledge, he's actually done good to his soul. Because this soul of yours is actually, believe it or not, from the time that you were born, just like your forefather Adam, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا, and he was striving for knowledge. This is something that we can't, you can say, if we're devoted to God Almighty, we are always striving with knowledge. Knowledge, of course, is spirituality knowledge, but anything knowledge in general that makes you better. You've noticed in these last couple of days, I view stories and examples of people that weren't Muslims, but they still had wisdom in their wording that were put into similarities with Islamic values, and that's what I'm talking about. You can take your knowledge, it's no problem, my brothers and sisters. Take your knowledge, but if it has ikhtilaf, if it goes against Islamic values, then you should just be careful with it, that it doesn't lead you astray or put some type of bad thinking in you. In fact, just as this always scares me, this hadith, just as salah and fasting is wajib on you, and for those people that can go to Hajj, the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said in a beautiful narration, he says, "Talab al-ilm faridatan," as a fard, obligatory on everyone that calls himself a Muslim. It's a fard. Just like your prayers is a fard. If you actually call yourself a Muslim, then you must acquire knowledge. Because basically, you know yourself, the famous narration, or not ration, but the famous saying by Francis Bacon, where he says that knowledge is power. It is. Knowledge is power. You think about it, honestly, you go back slightly now throughout history and the overcoming of all the obstacles, especially what the Shia have gone through. How much of it was dedicated to wars and how much was dedicated through knowledge? Go back and look at the percentage. Very minimal was attributed to wars. Everything was attributed to knowledge. You can imagine when any prophet came, how many the prophets came to people to awaken them. It wasn't through like that of the physical fact. It was that of awakening. Because it's through knowledge that you make shuhada. It's through knowledge that you awake people's minds up. So you find that this system that we put into place, and the factor is that even, we said before, that when you strive to knowledge, you might have to go to different places. And that's why the hadith says, "Utlub al-ilm law kana fil sin." You all know this. Yeah? SubhanAllah, people question sometimes, why sin? Why did wasn't some other place like India or Australia? Why sin, for instance? And we don't know. But you think, then I logically think about it, SubhanAllah, how much of today's you could say industry that we are actually, I wouldn't be surprised that what I'm touching here or this, if you look at it back, it's probably made in China. I actually go sometimes we have like a store there in Australia. It's like a hardware store, and I look at things. It's just everything made in China, made in China. These people, they've just taken over the world in terms of the fact. But maybe we have some narrations that back then, that's as far as the trade system used to go, because you know that you all hear about the silk trade. The silk trade used to go for, and that used to go as far as China back then. But when it comes to knowledge, we'll find that it's something that it's a thamara. So basically, Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam says, "Thamarat al-ilm, thamarat al-ilm, afwan, wal-amalu bih." So basically, acquiring knowledge is of greatness, but then putting that knowledge into practice. Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam has said that when it comes to knowledge, it's like that of someone that's trying to, have a bow and arrow. Like you have the bow there, but if there's no string there, it doesn't fight its target. But to complete you as an individual, you become that string, and then what you target out is knowledge. You give it to other people. Of course, you're not targeting people in the physical aspects. It's just a metaphor. So then he goes on to say, "Ma mata min ahya ilman." Subhanallah, beautiful. You will never die. You will never die if you're acquiring knowledge. Do you know why this is very important? Something we've mentioned before in the past. The only way you can ihya your qalb, when we talk about qalb al-salim and this beautiful tranquility, is by knowledge, by feeding it. This heart of yours becomes that vessel that is yearning for that type of knowledge. So having knowledge is very good. Giving it out is just important. But then knowing how to use knowledge is of a greater importance. But before we do this, to show you that a person that has knowledge, he becomes the strongest ever weapon and tool on this earth. It was said that once a student was asking his teacher, he said, what is the greatest weapon on this earth? What is the greatest weapon on this earth? So the teacher tells him, what do you consider? Do you consider steel very strong? He says, of course I consider steel very strong. He says, okay, then is there anything stronger than steel? And he's thinking, he's about to give him the answer, and he says, what about fire? Fire, the heat, can melt steel. He said, yeah, that's good. He said, okay, what about, is there anything like you think that's stronger than fire? He said, yeah, water. Water can distinguish fire. He said, mashallah, very good. He said, okay then, what do you say about the clouds that carry millions of tons of water? So subhanAllah, this gaseous air thing that we look at up there in the air that's carrying so many thousands of liters of water. He goes, and it looks like something light. He goes, no, yeah, okay, then the clouds are strongest. He said, what about the winds that move the clouds? He said, all right, then where we get into? It doesn't make any sense. He goes, okay, the winds are strong. We do get, alhamdulillah, in Australia, we don't get them as much, but you just get here tornadoes, hurricanes. And then he said, but there's something that can withstand that of hurricanes and tornadoes. He said, what's that? He goes, mountains. Mountains. I've never seen it's very unlikely that you see a hurricane picked up a mountain and threw it over to the side. The mountains, in fact, on this point, that why God created the mountains, don't you? As the Quran has pointed out. They're pegs. They're pegs on the place system that we have on now. If we didn't have mountains, believe me, we'd feel it. Anyway, then he said, okay, then along comes Beni Adam now. Beni Adam that walks on this earth and so proud, we got so much might, we can do nuclear, the essence of bombs and blow ourselves up. He says that, and we can also blow up a mountain. So the mountain, so the Beni Adam's strong. He says, but Beni Adam is overcome by what? How strong you are, what you overcome by? Tiredness, sleep. Yeah? Okay then. Now this is the pivotal point of it, as they say, to show you what knowledge can do to a person. That as much as you're tired, if you have this worriness, I don't care how tired you are. If you got something that's playing on your mind, can you sleep? Honestly, it's if it's been proven psychologically, it doesn't matter. If you have something on your conscious, You can't sleep. But then he says to him, do you want to know what the strongest thing is? He goes, a person that has knowledge and is in content with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and can go to his bed, knowing that faith of his and the tawakkul in his heart that gives him the radha, the contentment. This makes him the strongest person. This makes what makes a person so strong, that he doesn't even something like that, of the psychological aspect of it, get on top of him. So when we look at this, you'll find that the narrations have said that the ilm is that of worth. We have two narrations. One says the inheritance of the ulama, and another one says the inheritance of the anbiya. And it's knowledge, the more that you give knowledge, you use and other people benefit. It's just like, we're in a room where there's I always give the example of the candle. The candles. So what you need to do, first of all, you need to light that candle. To light that candle, you need knowledge. And not just any knowledge, you need nur. Because the Quran many times has told, for instance, يُخْرُجُكُم مِّنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى نُور. And especially in all the other times, even Musa, when he's told, Musa, that أُخْرِجْ قَوْمَكَ مِنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ وَذَكِّرْهُم بِأَيَّامِ اللَّهِ, and remind him of the days of God. But there's always this factor. So to get that light, it has to come from a source, doesn't it? You can't just having a candle there. It's useless. So to get that light, we go back to that ayah in which I started off with. قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ إِنَّمَا يَتَذَكَّرُ أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ. Are those who have knowledge the same as those who don't have knowledge? So what it is basically, a person that has knowledge is like this candle, the candle that lights up. And when you have a candle in a room with other candles, what happens? It lights up everything. Does it lose from itself? It doesn't lose from it, even though it melts. But it doesn't lose anything. That flame is still the same flame. And it gives to other candles. A person, قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. A person without knowledge is like that candle without a light on him. He's dim. It's basically, he looks there, he looks alive, it looks like something useful, but it's not useful. So when you look at the narration of this, Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam has said that the people that have ilm is none other than Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And the people that don't have ilm, وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ, are of course our enemies. But you special people, وَإِنَّمَا يَتَذَكَّرُ أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ, he says, but the people that have understanding, are our followers, our Shia. Why? Because they've taken from that light. See, when it comes to light, we have what we call natural light, and we got that. And if you study the light system, the spectrum of light, if I have a prison now, what you call a prison where it comes crystal prison where you can shoot a white light in there. If I was to shoot or direct a man-made light in there, so what type of spectrum you reckon it have? Anyone? It doesn't give out the natural spectrum that we see when we put a proper pure light go through in there. Like when what happens is that a pure light has the colors of the rainbow that go through it. It's what we call pure white light. And that's why sometimes when you buy lights like this, you get they try to give you like cool white, day white. But this is in fact, it's not a natural light. It doesn't your natural light, the way God has put the system in, is that through the day, the levels, the blue levels, changes and the intensity, and so it fits our lifestyle because it's pure. It comes from a pure source. It's big in the sun. So when we take something from, when it comes from something, I'm sorry, people might say to me, okay, sometimes we use fake lights to grow, like, you know, plants and that. It's anyone. You ask anyone, the difference between something that is grown naturally, in a natural environment, exposed to proper lights, compared to that which is grown in most times these illegally, what I'm talking about. And so, yeah, of course, they're going to be take off the light, the true light, the true real source, because that source, remember Ahlul Bayt source, where it comes from. Where does it come from? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It tells Jabir, he tells him that our light, that my nur was from the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that nur, then of course was passed on through the lineage of the Ahlul Bayt. God represents this in that beautiful verse in Surah An-Nur, Allahu nur as-samawati al-ard. مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها المصباح فيها زجاجة, to the end of it. That, this beautiful niche and the light, all this, if you look at the translation or the hadith of it, it's none other than Ahlul Bayt. Some have actually even directed it straight to that of Fatima the-Zahra, salawatullah wasalam alayha. So when you take off them, then you become those people of understanding. And above this, you beautiful people, that have taken the knowledge, God mentions you in the Quran. رَفَعَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكَ وَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ darajat. God then, there's a difference in the levels that you come up. Rafa, He lifts you up. And that's why, subhanAllah, that we're not walking in pride. But look at the way of true Mawali that has knowledge of Ahlul Bayt. Look at the way they talk. Look at the way they look. Look at the way they dispute with people. The akhlaq, takhalluq of akhlaq Allah. The Quran, the Hadith says that you have this ethics and morality of the akhlaq of God. Okay, we've been told this, and this is a narration that's narrated by both schools of thought. If I want to get the morality and that of akhlaq of God Almighty, who can I get it from? Those who are closest to God Almighty. And like we said, when you have knowledge, this is what differs you. This is what makes you this beacon. And especially when we stick together, what happens is sometimes, and this is the only reason we've survived, is through the knowledge. You know why? I'll tell you why. Going back to the candle example. Eventually, let's say that candle was to melt away and die. Because we're all in one room now, you can think about it, and we're all taking light of one another. Or some of them might wind away. Some of them, what happens is, some of them, that our light begins to distinguish. But because we're next to the other candles, it's just like a candle come and say, you know what, take some of my light. And do you know what? This system, whether you like it or not, logically, this is the only reason that we're here today. This is the only reason how our ulama have been able to keep us alive and to hold our aqidah, is by giving this light through. That's one part of the speech. Now, another part of the speech, I've taken the ilm of Ahlul Bayt. I've got knowledge. Now I have to confirm that knowledge into wisdom. That wisdom will make me act smartly and will also protect me. These two things. Salah ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Shaykhna. It was said to show you that we said that knowledge, we said protects you. Now it also, we know where the source comes from. That when we have knowledge, we have to use knowledge in a wisdom formal matter, and this is something that will get you. They always say that don't work harder, work smarter. This is it. This is how it is. And that reminds me of the story where, this brave axeman, a woodcutter, came he heard about, that they needed people to cut down trees. So he goes and, he's martial. He's a very well physiqued person, and he's got a very big axe. And the person tells him, you get paid on the amount of trees that you cut every day. He said, okay. And he's very excited. Price, like for each tree, like say it was like $100 for each tree back then. 100. So I'm going to cut down the first day. MashaAllah, he cuts down 6 big trees by himself. He's come down the second day. He's still energized. Coming the second day, and then he does okay. He cuts down 4 trees the second day. The third day, he's down to 2 trees. Third day, and the guy goes, maybe you're getting, like he said to him, I don't know what's going on. The guy, he said, maybe you're getting tired. Take it easy. Like the 4th or 5th day, he spends the whole day to cut 1 tree down. And he's the guy that's looking after the business. He goes to him, what's wrong? He goes, can you believe that? The way I started and the way I ended, I barely did 1 tree today. He said, I don't know what's going on. So the guy smiles to him. He goes to him, did you sharpen your axe? Did you? And he goes, no, I didn't think about that. I said to him, that's what basically, we talked about the other couple of days, that fools rush in while angels fear the tread. Physically he was strong. He had the technique and all that. But Habibi, you got to use your mind somewhere. You got to have knowledge that, of course, hitting on a surface like this into blunt. Knowledge is one thing. Wisdom is another thing. The wisdom of it was for him to go back and take time and to sharpen, to think himself, okay, this is what knowledge, I'm saying, protects you and makes you think smarter. Like, to go back, he was driven by worldly aspects. He was driven by, all I can see is the mal. Habibi, just a little bit, like, the mal is there. Believe me, whatever rizq you've got in this dunya, you will not leave it. The ahadith have said, doesn't matter. You will not leave. If it was a morsel of rice that meant for me to eat it, you will not leave this dunya without that morsel being sent to you. So when we talk about the knowledge, that's one thing. A person knows that through knowledge, it opens up that of wisdom. And wisdom sharpens you. Like that point that we sit down, we are blunted every day. We are bombarded every single day with all this nonsense, this worldly stuff that bogs you down and tries to bring you down. But then you come, subhanAllah, you get a maw'idha, you remember the hadith of Ahlul Bayt. And the Ahlul Bayt have said, remember, it's just like rust. This is what happens to people. Rust. SubhanAllah, this is one very small point. How light is air? Honestly, how light is it? Do you feel it most of the time? Say that there was no air there. We know the only reason that I'm talking to you is because I'm breathing. I know that the air exists. But what happens to Bani Adam? And sometimes we're not even aware of it. We're not even aware of it, that slowly, something is eating away on us. Things that are bogging us down, things are not letting us strive up to the air. What happens to you and to myself as well is that we acquire knowledge, and then what happens, because in order for rust to form, what's going to happen? Rust is what? Ferro oxide. Rust, for rust to form, there has to be that, say for instance, like piece of steel, the protection of it has to go. Like, on a scratch on the car, just a scratch on the car, if exposed to something that's light, like air, and it's not treated early, it spreads through and does damage to the car. This is what happens to your heart. This is what happens if you're not protecting your heart with the knowledge and the wisdom given to Ahlul Bayt, then what you're doing, you don't feel it. Like the air, you don't feel it. Then something, you've let down your guard, it affects your heart, and then all of a sudden, the heart of yours starts getting infected, and that little spot becomes something big until, God forbid, it takes over everything. And so that's why I use this hadith, my brothers and sisters, because the Ahlul Bayt have said that our hadith, and see, subhanAllah, they know about rust. Huh? When the Imam says to him that your hearts have had this rust over it, and it's only through our hadith that you can polish it, get rid of it. It's what protects you. It's what gives this heart of yours this illumination. And you can only illuminate it, as we mentioned before, with the remembrance and the follow of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala. So when we think about this, the more we distance ourselves from their remembrance, we're exposing ourselves to an environment that could affect us and make that heart of ours, which is supposed to be the sanctuary of God, which is supposed to be the heart. When I say, brothers and sisters, when I say heart, I'm not talking about the physical heart, even though I point out, I'm talking about the spiritual heart. And according to our narrations, the spiritual heart also is connected to your aql. And that's why Amir al-Mu'min, the reason that the aql can flourish is through knowledge. So to make sure that you consistently attending these spiritual factors and absorbing from one another really gives that emphasis about making sure that knowledge is kept. On this point, to show you what happens sometimes, he said that a scholar noticed, like one of the people that attends the centers, he noticed that he doesn't attend anymore. He noticed it. Yeah, and believe me, I know that Samahat al-Sheikh and Samahat al-Sayyid and all of us, we know. Like I've seen the faces here, and believe me, I've got a photographic memory. I know the ones that have been attending daily. But I feel like it's our duty that if I feel like someone that doesn't come to the center, I'd like to ask about him, whether he could be sick or what. But why? But why does he, not attend and get at least the maw'idh? I think we can, sacrifice at least an hour or two or something like that to come and learn this knowledge. Anyway, this scholar noticed that this person is not coming to the center or to the mosque. When he goes to visit him, it's winter. He knocks on him, salam alaikum, alaikum salam. They sit, there's a fireplace going on. Fireplace. He doesn't say much to him. He just sits him. He looks at the fire log, and then on it, say he went, he got the tongue, he pulled it to the side, and he sat there. Then after a while, he said to him, just how's the family? He didn't even bring up anything to do with the mosque. Then when he noticed that log had extinguished, he went and picked up the log, and he went in, put it back into the fire. And then he waited to it, and it lit up. And he said to him, Salaam alaikum. And he turned off. And then he goes, Afwa, Sheikhna, I'll be there on Thursday night. And he had tears coming on his eyes. All it was, it's just the way what he was saying to him, like, we sit there, we burn a bit, we think that we got enough. But as soon as we distance ourselves from the fire of knowledge, we extinguish. So what he said to him, by him saying to him, like, eventually, you think you're lit up and that, but then he brought him back and it lit back up. This brought the tears of flow of him, and he got the lesson. So this is one aspect of it. That knowledge gives you that light, that nur, the observation, the wisdom, and on top of all this, what as we said before, knowledge does what? It protects you. It protects you. If I ask you, for instance, if I have a fire in the kitchen and it's an oil-based fire, what type of fire extinguisher do I use? Anyone? Yeah, you can use a dry chemical, or what they call another one called wet chemical. But it's a different type of powder. You wouldn't go throwing water on there, would you? Especially if it's oil. But what's this telling you? That even when it came to knowledge, okay, I have Islamic knowledge, and I'm trying to also knowledge of what's going on. But knowledge protects you in terms of that you assess the situation and then you logically think, okay, way beforehand, if I do this action, what's going to be the result of it? If I don't do it, what's going to be the result of it? So this is what we are trying to, and that's why Amir al-Mu'mineen has always said that, al-amal, the hadith says that al-amal with ilm is what protects you, and God forbid the amal without ilm is what destroys you. So, like this example here, in order to protect us, God Almighty, through His justice, gave you two weighty things, the Quran and the Ahl al-Bayt. And how I use this analogy is I always tell people, I don't know whether in America it's the same or not, but when you go to the beach, there's a section where the lifeguards put two flags up. Does it happen here? Yeah. Two flags. They put those two flags up for why? For what? So what they've done, that they've observed the environment. So there's no, you call them rips here. There's a rips here. So they say that, okay, between these two flags, it's safe for us, or safe for the people to swim. And there's always going to be a lifesaver. Now you have knowledge of this. You didn't have knowledge of the terrain, did you? Experts came, they picked the two flags, they put a lifesaver there. Now, I'll give you an example. In Australia, in 100 years, there has not been a single drowning between the flags. This is a worldly, listen to this, please. This is a worldly made example, a worldly made system put into place to protect humans. For how about the godly example of to protect you? Now, what I say is, when I looked at the example, I said, two flags, we have two things. Quran, Ahl al-Bayt. God has said to him, swim between these two flags. Stay here and you'll be safe. Swim out of it, you're taking your own risk. You're going to drown. 110% you're going to drown. So and of course, still I missed out one thing. There's still who's looking? The lifesaver. Your lifesaver is none other than God Almighty. So can you see how this is a human-made thing that can also be implemented when you look at it in a way that to protect people, it's all was driven by knowledge. Knowledge is that what gives you, my brothers and sisters, and I'll finish off quickly while here, it gives you that of the unseen. It actually gives you the power. When we say, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, you literally believe in unseen. You start to see the environment and you start to work things out. It's just like that person that was coming to sell his mangoes. He walks past a wise man and he's saying to him, do you know this village, how long is it going to take to get there? He says, he looked at him and he's carrying mangoes. He says to him, if you move at the steady pace, at the normal pace, it will take you about 6 hours to get there. He says, but that means I won't be able to sort, by then the sun would have come down because it's already halfway through the day. I won't be able to sell the mangoes today. He goes, that's okay, you can sell them tomorrow. There's no rush. Anyway, this guy goes, what a stupid man. What are you? I can make this horse of mine go much quicker. So he makes it go quicker. Anyway, like the man said, he gets there even later. At the same time, he couldn't sell him. So the next day he sells his mango and he comes back and he looked at the man. He said to him, how did you know I was going to get there that late? And how do you know I was even going to sell him the next day? He said to him, because I told you you're going to move in this speed, because we've traveled along the terrain. I know the terrain, how the terrain is and how your horse is going to be there. And I guarantee, this is what he said to him, I guarantee because you tried to hurry, the horse would have been trampling along, the mangoes would have kept falling out. He said, yeah, they did. I had to stop and pick them up. He said, that's exactly. So you stopped and picked him up, which made you get even later. So, and then this is like basically a wisdom that someone that has gone through the terrains and knows the terrains, it might take a bit more time, but they know how to accomplish the mission. So when we look at this, we talked about the ayah, كل هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون إنما يتذكر أولو الألباب. That clearly all the people have said that it's just a logical question. Are those who have knowledge same as those who have knowledge? It's just logically. It's just a logic question. هل يستوى الأعمى والبصير? Are those who are blind the same as those who that can see? And here, of course, the blindness is not physical blindness. The blindness is of the heart, of the knowledge. So when we look at this, Ahl al-Bayt have said that if you stick with us, if you take the knowledge of us with us, you can get to the stage of this great servitude. Lastly, and the last point, to show you the greatness, with all due respect to our scholars these days, has anyone got to the stage of Salman al-Farsi? Anyone? Now, honestly, with all due respect, has anyone come even close to Salman al-Farsi, Salman al-Muhammadi, in his level of knowledge? With all due respect to our scholars, they are not even worth what he actually walks on. Salman min Ahl al-Bayt. Salman is the one that even Abu Dhar used to be kind of like have this envious towards him. He couldn't get to the stage of Salman, even to the point they wanted to see, like he wanted to know, why does Salman have this debate or like this level? And he wanted to, because Salman used to follow Amir al-Mu'mineen everywhere. Wherever Amir al-Mu'mineen used to step, he would step there. And so Salman would want to find out, maybe I'm missing something. So anyway, he wakes up one day early to follow Amir al-Mu'mineen to the mosque. And then as he's going there, he only sees one set of footprints. He says, maybe I beat Salman this time. Maybe I can see what, I can get some bit of extra advice there. Anyway, when they get to the mosque, he sees Amir al-Mu'mineen and Salman is next to him. He said, I don't understand. Like, I came to see if I'm missing anything in terms of my connection to God Almighty. And I saw one set of footprints. And Salman goes, yes. He said, wherever Amir al-Mu'mineen would step, I would step. Wherever Amir al-Mu'mineen would step, I would step. And this is how close and loved they were. And that's why I say the reason Salman al-Farsi became Salman al-Muhammadi is that because he took and he knew the greatness of al-Thaqalain. He actually truly knew it. It wasn't just these things, these two weighty things. He knew it, he absorbed it, and he got to this stage that we wish, like I personally wish that I was the dirt that Salman used to work on. And when I'm not saying that you can't come like this. I hope you do, and I hope that someone does get to this stage of Ubudiyya. But I'm saying that at least give yourself a chance by connecting to the Ahl al-Bayt. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hasten the reappearance of Imam al-Hujjah alayhi salam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He does not take us out of this world except He's pleased with us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cure our sick, to have mercy on our loved ones, to accept our a'mal, not just in this blessed month, but throughout our whole life, to give us the ziyarah of Ahl al-Bayt في الدنيا والشفاعة في الآخرة. هذه وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد رب العالمين وإلى راح المؤمنين والمؤمنات المسلمين والمسلمات. رحم الله من قرأ سورة الفاتحة مع الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
Ahsantum Sayyidina, if I can ask everyone to remain seated just for a couple minutes of Q&A with Imam Ilahi after Salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum. Actually, I don't have any question for today. I didn't receive. But I met with a lady today, very faithful, one of the most faithful sisters in our community. And she was very sad that her son, she said that her son was brainwashed with those people who are hunting, looking for emotional, simple minds, to mislead them and tell them, we have something better for you, a better aqidah and better belief system and better stuff. And she was very sad and heartbroken that her son was deviated from Sirat al-Mustaqim. And it's very dangerous. Sayyid is talking about education, education, education. Really, that matters a lot. This is why in our faith, Islamic faith, the miracle of our Prophet is a book. Can you imagine that 1400 years ago in Arabia, who cared about book? I mean, everybody was killing everybody for material and to have more camels and more horse and more sword and more money. Nobody cared about book and education. But this is the miracle of our Prophet, that after 1400 years, still this legacy as a miracle continues. And isn't it amazing that this book, this miraculous book, which was revealed in the holy month of Ramadan, started with what? Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Read in the name of your Lord means education and faith together. Iqra bismi rabb, in the name of your Lord, means combination of education and faith. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق. Wow, that he created human being from alaq. Now you study and you science and you discover the miracle that what is alaq? At that time, nobody had idea. They said alaq is just some blood. They had no idea about this formation of a cell and sperm and an egg and combination of these, that out of millions and millions of sperm, just one can meet with one egg and enter the womb and then start developing and become 2 and 4 and 8 and 12 and so on and so forth, that now you and I, how many cells in our body? Billions of cells, right? It started from one. Min alaq. Nobody had these ideas. This is the Quran that started with read, learn, pay attention. Sayyid was saying that about that guy who didn't come to the center. When we come to the center, we have to pay attention. The Sheikh was talking and he saw that one person is paying a lot of attention, looking all the time. And the Sheikh thought that this should be the most educated person in the audience. And after tens of lessons and sessions that they had about fasting, all the ahkam of fasting and Ramadan and all the details that he explains, but the person that the Sheikh thought was the most educated in the audience said that, Sheikhna, really, we learned a lot about fasting and really enjoyed it. But just tell me, this fasting, should we fast during the day or the night? He said, my goodness, after all of these lectures, now I thought that now you are a mujtahid, you can make fatwa about fasting, and now still you don't know that. So when we come to masjid, we have to pay attention, because sometimes even I see people in Friday prayer, half of them, they are sleeping, right? Because especially in Ramadan, you come there, and especially if the khutbah is tawila, like a long khutbah. So education and knowledge. I know that even our children, if Ali, he is fasting, mashallah, he's been fasting most of the days in Ramadan. But then I see he doesn't wake up for suhoor. I mean, I have to have suhoor. I wake up for suhoor. He doesn't care about suhoor. And even time for iftar, doesn't care if they have an iPad or a computer and they can, have things. That's all the kids they care. They don't. I mean, probably if they don't eat for the whole week, they don't care if they have an iPad and computer. But I keep telling them, read a book, and even in computer, something to learn, some education, some science. We need it, brothers and sisters. I mean, we have no excuse. Now you have a school, you have college, even you have the financial aids to go to college. Look at our people like in Junub Lebanon, in Gaza, in Yemen. They don't have anything that you have here. So it's haram if we don't get education. If haram if we don't take our science and our schools and our colleges, universities, if we don't take it seriously, please. You are the future of our community and the country and the world. And there are some Abna al-Haram, the shayateen, they get this science, but they use it to destroy. Like, look at the Middle East now. They are using all this weapon and all this science. We need to have science, but use it to save humanity. But if we don't have the science, we cannot just do it with dua. We cannot just keep praying. We need to have this prayer with our action and with knowledge. Knowledge, as Sayyid was talking, that combination of knowledge and an action together. And let's end with this, that tonight is the night of blessing and beauty of the birth of Imam al-Mushtaba alayhi salam. I know that Hajj Hassan and the Youth of Wisdom, they are going to have a huge celebration tomorrow. Inshallah, tomorrow night, make sure that you are coming and you bring the families to be part of this celebration of Al-Imam al-Mushtaba. Rayhana to Rasulullah, he is the flower of the Prophet. And he said, Hassan, you are the light of my eyes, the light of my heart, the light of my soul. And Sayyid Shabab Ahl Jannah, the master of the youth of paradise. It's a blessing. Congratulations to everyone. The middle of Ramadan, the heart of Ramadan, the birthday of Imam Mushtaba alayhi salam. We'll learn about the Imam tomorrow, but he is the one who told us, اعمل لدنياك كأنك تعيش أبدا وأعمل لآخرتك كأنك تموت غدا. Work for this dunya, look like you are there forever. And look for akhirah like you may die tomorrow. Have a balance between dunya and akhirah, physical and intellectual and spiritual, a balance. But still he is saying that take akhirah more seriously than dunya. Because he is saying that work for dunya like you are there forever. Because if you think that you are there forever, you are not so much in hurry for money and all this material and selfishness and greed. Because work for dunya like you are there forever. But work for akhirah like you may die tomorrow. So hurry up for akhirah. This is the lesson that Al-Imam al-Mushtaba alayhi salam taught us. Ramadan Mubarak, the middle of Ramadan, heart of Ramadan, for all of you brothers and sisters. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you both, Imam and Sayyid. We spoke a lot about knowledge. We said that, I believe it was a hadith, that the Imams say that it's like over your heart you have a rust. And it's only with the hadith and the knowledge of the Ahlul Bayt that you're able to remove that rust. I counted at least 15 hadith, and 15 different or 10 different ayahs that were mentioned tonight. These nights are filled with knowledge. If we encourage you to write down on paper, that's what I've been doing. I know some of the younger ones are writing down notes. We encourage you to do that. Inshallah, we will do Amma Yujib, we'll do Dua al-Hujjah, and inshallah, inside of the Mahdi Hall, we'll have our Q&A with Sayyid Fadel al-Sayyid. Let's do Amma Yujib for all of those who have requested for dua. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amma yujibu al-muttarra idha da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su'. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. دعاء الحجة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. I invite you to the Mahdi Hall for refreshments. And inshallah, we have, like Imam said, our Majina celebration tomorrow, 9:30. On your way out, do recite a Fatiha for tonight's sponsors. Please sallu ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.